Goodness gracious. Okay, good morning. Today, for week 12, our whole thing is about anticipating a better future. And welcome to our Bible in a Year beginner plan. I'm Anna, if we have not met yet, and I'm really glad that you're here. This is a plan that I'm reading with some of my friends, and I just wanted to invite you guys to come along with me to do this plan as well. This week's focus is about anticipating a better future and partnering with God right where we are. We are week 12, day 3. We are reading in Genesis chapters 44 through 47 today. So if you have your Bible, you can turn there. This is 44 through 47. I am reading out of the NIV Real Life Devotional Bible this morning. Okay. Here we go. A silver cup and a sack, chapter 44. Now Joseph gave these instructions to the steward of his house. Fill the men's sacks with as much food as they can carry, and put each man's silver in the mouth of his sack. Then put my cup, the silver one, in the mouth of the youngest one's sack, along with the silver for his grain. And he did as Joseph said. As morning dawned, the men were sent on their way with their donkeys. They had not gone far from the city when Joseph said to his steward, "Go after those men at once, and when you catch up with them, say to them, 'Why have you repaid good with evil? Isn't the cup of my master drinks from and also uses for divination? This is a wicked thing you have done.'" How horrible it would be to be set up. But again, the boys, they don't know that it's their brother, but the thought of being accused of something and something planted in your bag that you don't even know about. When he caught up with them, he repeated these words to them, but they said to him, Why does my Lord say such things? Far be it from your servants to do anything like that. We even brought back to you from the land of Canaan the silver we found inside the mouths of our sacks. So why would we steal silver or gold from your master's house? If any of your servants is found to have it, he will die, and the rest of us will become my Lord's slaves. Very well, then, he said, let it be as you say. Whoever is found to have it will become my slave, and the rest of you will be free from blame. Each of them quickly lowered his sacks to the ground and opened it. Then the steward proceeded to search, beginning with the oldest and ending with the youngest. And the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. At this, they tore their clothes. Then they all loaded their donkeys and returned to the city. Such a difference from when they had sold Joseph and, they were going to kill him, put him in the pit, then sold him. Have they changed? Have they, it seems like they're just adoring their younger brother. Now they're devastated. I don't know if it's a respect from their father or just they've actually changed. Joseph was still in the house when Judah and his brothers came in, and they threw themselves to the ground before him. Joseph said to them, "What is this you have done? Don't you know that a man like me can find things out by divination?" I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, so sorry about that. "What can we say to my Lord?" Judah replied. "What can we say? How can we prove our innocence? God has uncovered your servant's guilt. We are now my Lord's slaves, we ourselves and the one who is found to have the cup." But Joseph said, "Far be it from me to do such a thing. Only the man who was found to have the cup will become my slave. The rest of you go back to your father in peace." Then Judah went up to him and said, "Pardon your servant, my Lord. Let me speak a word to my Lord. Do not be angry with your servant, though you are equal to Pharaoh himself." Crazy to actually think about that, Joseph now being in that position, to be equal to Pharaoh, second in command. "My Lord asked his servants, 'Do you have a father or a brother?' And we answered, 'We have an aged father, and there is a young born to him in his old age. His brother is dead, and he is the only one of his mother's sons left, and his father loves him.'" Well, that kind of points out the curiosity that I had a minute ago about, I guess I didn't realize that he had a different mother. Then you said to your servant, bring him down to me so I can see him for myself. And we said to my Lord, the boy cannot leave his father. If he leaves him, his father will die. But you told your servants, unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you will not see my face again. When we went back to your servant, my father, we told him what my Lord had said. Then our father said, go back and buy a little more food. But we said, we cannot go down. Only if our youngest brother is with us will we go. We cannot see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us. Your servant, my father, said to us, you know that my wife bore me 2 sons. One of them went away from me, and I said, he has surely been torn to pieces, and I have not seen him since. If you take this one from me too, and harm comes to him, you will bring my gray head down to the grave in misery. So now, if the boy is not with us, when I go back to your servant, my father, and if my father, whose life is closely bound up with the boy's life, sees that the boy isn't there, he will die. Your servant will bring the gray head of our father down to the grave in sorrow. Your servant guaranteed the boy's safety to my father. I said, if I do not bring him back to you, I will bear the blame before you, my father, all my life. You can tell such just a deep reverence for everything now, for their father, for their brother, for what it would do to their father. Now then, please let your servant remain here as my Lord slaves in place of the boy, and let the boy return with his brothers. How can I go back to my father if the boy is not with me? No, do not let me see the misery that would come upon my father. Now we're starting chapter 25. If you're just joining me, we are in Genesis chapter 45. We are doing a Bible in the Year reading plan. Today we are reading chapters 44 through 47. So we've got 2 more chapters this morning. Joseph is going to, sounds like, tell him who he is in this chapter. They still have not recognized him as being their original younger brother. Now there's Benjamin. Then Joseph could no longer control himself before all his attendants, and he cried out, have everyone leave my presence. So there was no one with Joseph when he made himself known to his brothers. And he wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard him, and Pharaoh's household heard about it. Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still living? But his brothers, they were not able to answer him because they were terrified at his presence. I wonder if they're thinking this is it for them, just based on what they did to him in the beginning. They now see his power of position. I'm sure they're horrified and terrified that this is the end of their life. Then Joseph said to his brothers, come close to me. When they had done so, he said, I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed. Do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. Wow. No anger, no bitterness, just seeing himself and God's purpose. For 2 years now there has been famine in the land, and for the next 5 years there will be no plowing and reaping. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So then it was not you who sent me here, but God. Man, that is just powerful in my mind that he has fully released them of what they did to him. They hated him. They sold him. They were going to kill him. And he's just saying, this is all because of God. God has put me here. This is right where I'm meant to be. It was all part of his plan. He made me father to Pharaoh, lord of his entire household and ruler of all Egypt. Now hurry back to my father and say to him, this is what your son Joseph said. God has made me lord of all Egypt. Come down to me. Don't delay. You shall live in the region of Goshen and be near me, you, your children and grandchildren, your flocks and herds, and all you have. I will provide for you there, because 5 years of famine are still to come. If you remember, in talking about this earlier, he had a dream, or there was a dream that he interpreted about this, and that was part of what got him out of prison at the time. Otherwise, you and your household and all who belong to you will become destitute. You can see for yourself, and so can my brother Benjamin, that it is really I who am speaking to you. Tell my father about all the honor accorded me in Egypt and about everything you have seen, and bring my father down here quickly. Then he threw his arms around his brother Benjamin and wept, and Benjamin embraced him weeping. And he kissed all his brothers and wept over them. Afterward, his brothers talked with him. When the news reached Pharaoh's palace that Joseph's brothers had come, Pharaoh and all his officials were pleased. Pharaoh said to Joseph, tell your brothers, do this, load your animals and return to the land of Canaan, and bring your father and your families back to me. I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you can enjoy the fat of the land. I'm sure they're just thinking, wow, what has just happened? You are also directed to tell them, do this, take some carts from Egypt for your children and your wives and get your father and come here. Never mind about your belongings, because the best of all Egypt will be yours. So the sons of Israel did this. Joseph gave them carts as Pharaoh had commanded, and he also gave them provisions for their journey. To each of them he gave new clothing, but to Benjamin he gave 300 shekels of silver and 5 sets of clothes. And this is what he sent to his father: 10 donkeys loaded with the best things of Egypt, and 10 female donkeys loaded with grain and bread and other provisions for his journey. Then he sent his brothers away, and as they were leaving, he said to them, don't quarrel on the way. Such a reminder from a brother. We're not going to fight about this. Very interesting. So they went up out of Egypt and came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan. They told him, Joseph is still alive. In fact, he is ruler of all Egypt. Jacob was stunned, and he did not believe them. But when they told him everything Joseph had said to them, when he saw the carts Joseph had sent to carry him back, the spirit of their father Jacob revived. And Israel said, I'm convinced my son Joseph is still alive. I will go and see him before I die. We're right into chapter 26 now, if you're just joining me this morning. We are in Genesis chapter 46. This is all about anticipating a better future, partnering with God right where we are in his plans. This is Jacob goes to Egypt. So Israel set out with all that was his, and when he reached Beersheba, he offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. And God spoke to Israel in a vision at night and said, Jacob, Jacob. Here I am, he replied. So Jacob also goes by the name Israel. I think at first I was thinking it was Israel, but very wrong about that. I am God, the God your father, he said. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for I will make you into a great nation there. I will go down to Egypt with you. I will surely bring you back again, and Joseph's own hand will close your eyes. Then Jacob left Beersheba, and Israel's sons took their father Jacob and their children and their wives in the carts that Pharaoh had sent to transport him. So Jacob and all his offspring went to Egypt, taking with them their livestock and their possessions they had acquired in Canaan. Jacob brought with him to Egypt his sons and grandsons and his daughters and granddaughters, all his offspring. These are the names of the sons of Israel, Jacob and his descendants who went to Egypt. Well, I'm just going to say right now, there's a good chance I'm going to be mispronouncing some of these, but I think it's important to see all who are coming with him. Reuben, the firstborn of Jacob, the sons of Reuben, Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi, the sons of Simeon, Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Saul, the son of a Canaanite woman, the sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari, the sons of Judah, Onan, Shelah, Perez, and Zerah, but and Onan had died in the land of Canaan. The sons of Perez, Hezron, and Hamuel, the sons of Issachar, Tula, Pua, Jeshub, and Shimron, the sons of Zebulun, Shared, Elon, and Jali. These were the sons Leah bore to Jacob in Paddan Aram, besides his daughter Dinah. These sons and daughters of his were 33 in all. The sons of Gad, Zephon, Haggai, Shanu, Esborn, Eri, Arodi, and Areli. The sons of Asher, Imnah, Ishvi, and Berai. Their sister was Sarah. The sons of Berai, Heber, and Malchil. These were the children born to Jacob by Zephath, who Laban had given to his daughter Leah, 16 in all. So many kids, so many offspring. The sons of Jacob's wife Rachel, Joseph, and Benjamin. In Egypt, Manasseh and Ephraim were born to Joseph by Ashina, daughter of Potipharah, priest of On. The sons of Benjamin, Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Jerah, Naaman, Eli, Rosh, Muppin, Huppin, and Ard. These were the sons of Rachel who were born to Jacob, 14 in all. The sons of Dan, Husham, the sons of Naphtali, Jazel, Gunai, Jezer, and Shalom. These were the sons born to Jacob by Bela, who Laban had given to his daughter Rachel, 7 in all. All right, now we got the crew. So let's keep going here. We're in verse 26. All those who went to Egypt with Jacob, those who were his direct descendants, not counting his sons' wives, numbered 67 persons. With the 2 sons who had been born to Joseph in Egypt, the members of Jacob's family, which went to Egypt, were 70 in all. Amazing. Imagine 70 offspring. Now Jacob sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph to get directions to Goshen. When they arrived in the region of Goshen, Joseph had his chariot made ready and went to Goshen to meet his father Israel. As soon as Joseph appeared before him, he threw his arms around his father and wept for a long time. Israel said to Joseph, "Now I am ready to die, since I have seen for myself that you are still alive." Then Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's household, "I will go up and speak to Pharaoh and will say to him, 'My brothers and my father's household who were living in the land of Canaan have come to me. The men are shepherds, they tend livestock, and they have brought along their flocks and herds and everything they own.' When Pharaoh calls you in and asks, 'What is your occupation?' you should answer, 'Your servants have tended livestock from our boyhood on, just as our fathers did.' Then you will be allowed to settle in the region of Goshen, for all shepherds are detestable to the Egyptians." Now we're starting in chapter 47. This is our last chapter this morning. Joseph went and told Pharaoh, "My father and brothers with their flocks and herds and everything they own have come from the land of Canaan and are now in Goshen." He chose 5 of his brothers and presented them before Pharaoh. Pharaoh asked the brothers, "What is your occupation?" "Your servants are shepherds," they replied to Pharaoh, "just as our fathers were." They also told him, We have come to live here for a while because the famine is severe in Canaan and your servants' flocks have no pasture. So now please let your servants settle in Goshen." Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Your father and your brother have come to you, and the land of Egypt is before you. Settle your father and your brothers in the best part of the land and let them live in Goshen. And if you know of any among them with special ability, put them in charge of my own livestock." Then Joseph brought his father Jacob and presented him before Pharaoh. After Jacob blessed Pharaoh, the Pharaoh asked him, "How old are you?" And Jacob said to Pharaoh, "The years of my pilgrimage are 130. 130. My years have been few and difficult, and they do not equal the years of the pilgrimage of my fathers." Then Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from his presence. So Joseph settled his father and his brothers in Egypt and gave them property in the best part of the land, the districts of Ramesses, as Pharaoh directed. Joseph also provided his father and his brothers with all his father's household with food according to the number of their children. This section is called Joseph and the Famine. There was no food, however, in the whole region because the famine was severe. Both Egypt and Canaan wasted away because of the famine. Joseph collected all the money that was to be found in Egypt and Canaan in payment for the grain they were buying, and he brought it to Pharaoh's palace. When the money of the people of Egypt and Canaan was gone, all Egypt came to Joseph and said, "Give us food. Why should we die before your eyes? Our money is all gone." "Then bring your livestock," said Joseph. "I will sell your food in exchange for your livestock since your money is gone." So they brought their livestock to Joseph, and he gave them food in exchange for their horses, their sheep and goats, their cattle and donkeys, and he brought them through that year with food in exchange for all their livestock. When that year was over, they came to him and said, "We cannot hide from our Lord the fact that since our money is gone and our livestock belongs to you, there is nothing left besides our bodies and our land. Why should we perish before your eyes? We and our land as well. Buy us and our land in exchange for food, and we with our land will be in bondage to Pharaoh. Give us seed so that we may live and not die, and that the land may not become desolate." So Joseph bought all the land in Egypt for Pharaoh. The Egyptians, one and all, sowed their fields because the famine was too severe for them. The land became Pharaoh's, and Joseph reduced the people to servitude from one end of Egypt to another. However, he did not buy the land of the priests because they received a regular allotment from Pharaoh and had food enough from the allotment Pharaoh gave them. That is why they did not sell their land. Joseph said to the people, "Now that I have brought you and your land today from Pharaoh, here is seed for you so you can plant the ground. But when the crop comes in, give a fifth of it to the Pharaoh. The other 4/5 you may keep as seed for the fields and as food for yourselves and your households and your children." "You have saved our lives," they said. "May we find favor in the eyes of our Lord. We will be in bondage to Pharaoh." So Joseph established it as a law concerning the land of Egypt, still enforced to this day, that a fifth of the produce belongs to Pharaoh. It was only the land of the priests that did not become Pharaoh's. Now, the Israelites settled in Egypt in the region of Goshen. They acquired property there and were fruitful and increased greatly in number. Jacob lived in Egypt 70 years, and the years of his life were 147. Then, when the time drew near for Israel to die, he called for his son Joseph and said to him, "If I have found favor in your eyes, put your hand under my thigh and promise that you will show me kindness and faithfulness. Do not bury me in Egypt. But when I rest with my fathers, carry me out of Egypt and bury me where they are buried." "I will do as you say," he said. What honor to give his father and to bury him with a place of his fathers, where he's asking to be buried. Swear to me, he said. And then Joseph swore to him, and Israel worshiped as he leaned on the top of his staff. We are at chapter 48. So we're done for this morning. Tomorrow we'll be picking up in 1 Samuel 6 through 8. I'm really glad that you're with me. I'm going to be doing well, we're less than 60 days now, but this is a 60-day push. If you want to join this challenge, it's a year-long Bible reading plan, but my goal is to be on here live with you guys every morning between 5:35 and 5:40 to get this reading in. So I hope that you join me, invite some friends, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning.